Hello and welcome to a special video version of Get the Table, another wrestling roundtable discussion podcast with myself, Adam Wilbourn, and the Dadley Boyz of What Culture, Michael Sidgwick and Michael Hamlet, here to discuss a burning wrestling issue. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. But the question I want you two to answer today has been suggested by Jen Bandine, who apparently listens to us every single day. Thank you so much for that, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
She wants to know, will Stomping Grounds be a surprise hit?
No.
The reason why I picked this to talk about is because we've done so many of
Sorry,
these podcasts.
Jen, I don't mean to be so flippant.
We've done so many of these podcasts, though, or discussions. I distinctly remember the one that always sticks in my head is, could this be the best fast lane ever? Worst fast lane ever. But for once, we're going in with such, not trepidation, just such meh, that actually, on paper, could this actually surprise us potentially? I mean, one of the things I was going to say is, yes, there's a hell of a load of rematches on there, and it is just sort of a continuation of Super Showdown. But you've got a match like Samoa Joe versus Ricochet for the United States Championship. Could that save the show?
No.
Okay.
Right, the way WWE functions is that the television is usually terrible because the writing is so terrible and Vince McMahon has gone crackers, but the roster is so talented that most Sundays they completely over-deliver, and it's great. The problem is that there's nothing on paper, just looking at this card now, that inspires even like a little bit of, oh, you know what, they could over-deliver here. I've seen these matches before and they weren't particularly great the first time, so we're British. I'm going to be getting up at 12 o'clock until about 4:30, and I'm going to be reviewing the show on the website afterwards if you'd like to check it out. And I can't be arsed. I can't. I'm never usually excited at WWE pay-per-view on Sunday because they don't do anticipation nor build very well. But I'm thinking, Daniel Bryan in an Elimination Chamber match, that's going to be fantastic. None of this, I just can't be arsed.
It's facing heavy machinery.
It's funny that you put it in the context of the content we produce here because, I'll be doing a write-up in the office and then sat with Adam Wilbourn probably at this very desk doing a podcast set to the darkness of outside because it'll be about 4 a.m. when the show finishes. And often there's nothing worse than recording that show after you think, what have I just watched? What have I just sat through? I'm going to be the angel on your shoulder in contrast to Michael Sidgwick because I actually look at this card and think the opposite. I do see potential. Perhaps my optimism is flawed and fatalistic as usual. I look at Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans as the end of a feud, and I like things being paid off, and I like things being done with. It's a shame that...
What did he say about Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston at a Super Showdown?
Which was going to be my next point before I undermine myself. That has to be the end of that feud, the Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston one. Becky Lynch tried and almost managed to get a decent match out of Lacey Evans. She started to look like a world champion that was given the job of carrying others to sort of... She was starting to earn the title of the man in a very different way, and I just think that that's what she can do again without the kind of gimmickry and all the smoke and mirrors of the 2 titles and the Charlotte match. I would like to see something that feels a little bit more conclusive and just for once justifies this entire Lacey Evans experiment. She had an absolute atrocious match with Charlotte.
It was so funny.
It was funny, but it was darkly amusing. I think it's safe to say it was. I'd like to see her fulfill some of the potential and some of the hope that they obviously had for this character to get over. But I do think Becky Lynch will win. I stand fairly firm on my belief that Bayley and Alexa Bliss is the best thing going on television at the moment. I think those characters are well drawn. I think neither will suffer from actual conclusive booking. Bayley gets a win over Alexa Bliss that, to a lot of people pays off that storyline that killed her 2 years ago. You know, there's always been that lingering thing that she couldn't really beat Alexa Bliss because she was too soft. She's not that character anymore. Alexa Bliss has got Nikki Cross to work with across the summer whenever they decide to go to that. Going to Daniel Bryan and Heavy Machinery, I won't go through the whole card, but just that match in particular does leap out to me because I do think that in Bryan's commentary on Tuesday on SmackDown, what he was trying to do, partly by being just morbidly entertaining and laughing off the entire product, but putting over that finisher, is him just trying to plant the seeds because, yes, Michael Sidgwick, he is the best thing going in WWE, that he can get something good out of these two. My worry is that they're going to lose the titles because the only person that gets pinned in a Daniel Bryan Rowan tag match if they're losing is Daniel Bryan. So Otis falling on top of one of the best in the world to win those titles is horrifying to think about. But I just sense that if he didn't care about what this was, he wouldn't have put so much effort into that commentary to make the SmackDown segment that built to it memorable. And I just feel like he'll want to pay that off in something that resembles something satisfying.
Not up to him.
Well, but isn't he the exception to the rule?
He is the Vince whisperer
Yeah.
in how he's got something so himself over to such an incredible degree in a company where very little gets over. But yeah, he's in a bloody tag team match with Heavy Machinery.
Possibly on the kickoff. It's not yet been announced what the kickoff match is going to be.
It's going to be the Cruiserweight match. It's 100% going to be the Cruiserweight match, as it always is, which could potentially be match of the night. But my question to you is, I think Samoa Joe Ricochet on paper is easily match of the night here. Has that not got the potential to really elevate this pay-per-view?
I want to be excited, but that's, of all the matches on this card, as daft as this sounds, that's the one I'm most concerned for the status of, because it's the one where you look and you think, that's kind of a dream match for some fans. That's two guys that you'd love to see interact with each other. Theoretically, Joe is an incredible base for Ricochet. However, most wrestlers get trapped and boxed in by WWE's agenting and by their match styles, and we've seen and had our fingers burnt by the likes of AJ Styles and Seth Rollins and these wrestlers that we sit there and we wait and we wait and we wait for those incredible matches to come, these one-offs. A lack of rematches, which, you know, this card is not the best example of that after the Saudi Arabia show, but a rule they've stuck to more than they haven't, I think, in 2019, this no rematch thing, means this could be a one and done. And when it's a one and done, you stand the chance of it being something special. So I hope it is, but that's the one of all the matches that I'm worried could be the letdown on a night where there might be some pleasant surprises.
Now, Michael Hamflett there discussed Becky Lynch and Kofi Kingston. And we hope this is the case, if Kofi versus Dolph has a definitive winner and we move on from that, and like you said, Becky defeats Lacey Evans, what would you say needs to come next for the likes of Becky Lynch and Kofi Kingston? Because we were discussing on the SmackDown podcast the fact that Kofi needs to be legitimised a little bit more as WWE champion.
A nightmarish rumour ran rampant on Twitter the other week, in which Gedo had apparently stepped down as booker from New Japan Pro Wrestling. If to join WWE, I can't think of a more philosophically different pairing than those two. But if Gedo was booking this company, he would go back in time, think, what have I laid down that I can pick back up in a way that would make sense and actually entertain the audience? And for me, Asuka's got that win over Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble that they could quite easily revisit. It's something that a lot of fans would want to see again. Asuka's absolutely phenomenal. She doesn't work in overtly dangerous style, but she's great at conveying it. I love
work
Asuka.
any style at the moment.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I would love to see that match. It's got a foundational reason to exist, and a lot of people would really like to watch it. And I think Becky Lynch needs a great match, because great match is currency to make stars nowadays. And yeah, it could just as easily be Lacey Evans winning this title. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I would say that Becky Lynch needs a match of that magnitude, and Asuka evidently really needs it.
And Kofi, I pitched Randy Orton next. It's Extreme Rules, I think, the next pay-per-view after Stomping Grounds. We know how sadistic Randy Orton has been recently, and there's that, obviously, history between the two there.
Well, again, there's that fertile narrative history that they could plant seeds from in the next month or whatever, but this company, when a storyline falls into its lap, they treat it like hot coffee's just burned their bollocks. It's not like, all right, this is good, I don't have to do any work here. It's like, ugh, that hurts. That's hot coffee.
And it's not my hot coffee either.
Yeah.
Now, that has literally started storylines before, so we know they're listening, we know they're watching. So, you know,
Kofi versus Randy. Again, there's a video package that edits itself. It's something that a lot of fans have held on to for years and years. Obviously, Kofi himself has, during that excellent spot in one of the matches before WrestleMania.
Yeah, that was magic,
where he
wasn't it?
subverted it and just went, stupid, stupid. So yeah, it would be stupid for them to not do this. So they probably will not do it.
Now, one of the rumours that I've read online heading into this pay-per-view in terms of what might pique people's interest is a potential double turn. I know we've talked a lot about Nikki Cross and her involvement in this Bayley match, but a potential double turn in the Bayley-Alexa Bliss match.
I can't see it, but I get where people are coming from with it. There's a strange thing with Alexa Bliss's performances at the moment, particularly on A Moment of Bliss this week. She is playing a manipulative heel in terms of when you think about her from Nikki Cross's perspective.
Yes.
So she's trying to be so earnest in the face of Nikki Cross that Nikki Cross thinks, I can trust Alexa Bliss. But she almost did too good a job of it on Tuesday, because there were some fans that were listening to Alexa Bliss's sob story and treating it as a real tale of bullying and a tough time in NXT where Bayley was just slamming her into lockers and things like that because she was only little. Whereas I think the real story they're trying to tell is that Alexa Bliss is a really nasty piece of work, and she'll keep Nikki Cross on side for her own benefit. I don't think either Bayley at this point, they've done a really, really good job of rehabilitating Bayley over the space of a month by adding. They're not even heelish traits. They're just confident traits. They're the traits of a champion where she's a babyface that's not an idiot. For a change, so rare in WWE to have a babyface is not an idiot. So I think to assume that because there's a bit of an edge to Bayley's character, they need to go the whole way and turn her heel, is such an overreach, and it's such a waste of what they've currently got, especially with, I suppose this is the case with Becky Lynch, especially with someone like Charlotte waiting in the wings for a proper program with Bayley, or other women on SmackDown when they're not fighting over Game Boys and magazines and donuts that could theoretically have their best matches with Women's Champion Bayley. So I'd like to see this be another one and done. I do get the double turn, but it just seems wasteful of two characters that have got far more interesting avenues to take after this match.
The idea of a double turn for me is just far too much like Vince Russo, and it's not as if this company's turning into WCW in 2000 now, is it? So
now we've seen the really disappointing ticket sales for Stomping Grounds. Of course, it's been reported a lot recently. One of the ways that they could counter this, aside from just chucking in random legends for matches or whatever, is the special guest referee spot, which still hasn't been filled for that Universal Championship match, which I anticipate is going to be the main event. Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin with the sort of spectre of Brock Lesnar, which we will get onto in a second.
How can you ask me a question like that? Will there be a surprise hit? Baron Corbin's in the main event? Sorry, I just... God.
What? So, but that sort of leads to my point. What special guest referee would save the main event of Stomping Grounds if that is the main event?
What is a special guest? When has anyone really ever given... This is not a rhetorical question as part of a snarky gimmick. Like, I'm going to ask it in good faith. When has a special guest referee ever mattered?
Vince McMahon.
When?
Over the Edge, 1998.
Oh, yeah, but that was perfect.
Okay.
That was absolute perfection. It's been diminishing returns
so who
ever
else,
since.
other than Vince McMahon, could have biceps in a referee shirt, quite like Brock Lesnar?
Ken Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock. No, Brock Lesnar, I think, is the answer to that question. If
He'd
only
pull it off, wouldn't he?
Of course he
Can
would.
you imagine his like hammy acting when he's like remonstrating with Seth Rollins? No, you can't do things like that.
I want him to ignore the match. He's going to have like, obviously, he wears a t-shirt that's a little bit baggier over those tracky bottoms. It's going to be a black and white striped referee shirt that's got Suplex City on so he can sell it. But he's going to be carrying around the boombox the whole time. So he's going to like be dancing along, like ignore a few 2 counts because he's just not bothered. Then like go to the floor very slowly, still dancing along with the boombox. Like the tease of him cashing in at any given point, like doing the old sort of fake swing, like whoa, whoa. Like that, I think he's going to be perfect for it. I think he's ideal for it. The only thing that makes me think that if this was their idea all along, they probably should have added, looking at that like damning graphic of all the tickets still available, they probably should have advertised him to sell a few more tickets. But there is precedent for keeping him as a surprise because Money in the Bank was just last month and he wasn't announced for that. He wasn't even needed for that. And then there he was. So I'd like to see him factored into this because if for nothing else, all this week, the debate that's raged about Seth Rollins, is he a heel or a babyface, what we're doing on Raw, it's at least a bit of joined-up thinking with what we saw with him doing his, your words, Stone Cold Steve Austin stuff on Monday Night Raw.
Sheamus 2013.
His take.
I stand by it. I stand that attack on Eric Young was Stone Cold-esque.
It's at least babyface stuff if Brock's there.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm not saying it was exactly the same and it's nowhere near it, but I'll cling to anything at this point. Do you think, regardless of whether or not you think he's going to be the special guest referee, do you think Brock Lesnar shows up on Sunday?
No. I mean, it just feels like a waste of money. This company doesn't waste money.
So if that's not the case, if he isn't the special guest referee, who do you think they bring in for that?
I mean, it's probably going to be Brock Lesnar. I'm being facetious. Like, who else would make storyline sense?
Vince?
I mean... No, because the thing with Vince McMahon is that, and this is like a horrifying thought, he is genuinely a draw. Like, he is genuinely a draw. They've used him in recent history as a guy who's going to come back and shake things up, and you got to watch because Vince is about and what he's going to do. I think if it was going to be Vince, I mean, realistically, they could do it on Twitter, like right now or tomorrow, to try and drum a bit of last minute interest. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't give a toss.
All right, not Vince, Triple H. History with Seth Rollins, a higher up for Baron Corbin to call on and say, look, I've asked everyone, and they've all been attacked by Seth Rollins.
It is.
But the thing about Triple H is, like, is he a babyface or a heel?
It depends on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what function would he serve in the storyline? Because Baron Corbin's been imbued with powers by somebody.
They used Baron Corbin as the whipping boy for bad ratings. kayfabe, didn't they? They said he was the reason
I'm just
why.
trying in good
Yeah.
faith to look at the mechanisms of this story. Like, who's given Baron Corbin these powers? Is it Shane?
It was Stephanie last summer.
Yeah, but like now that it's
Oh,
now that he's not the constable of Raw.
It must be Shane McMahon because he's the only sort of authority figure that, in the
Is
storylines at least, is a heel.
definitively
defined
a
as such,
heel. So maybe Triple H could be installed as special guest referee to like build towards Triple H versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 36.
At least we have some element of intrigue going
I think
into
that's
Sunday.
been downplayed, that intrigue, you know, when I really think about it, because of the Seth Rollins attacks on Raw and then them not really touching it on SmackDown, save for that one segment so Matt Hardy could pop the boys with Senior Benjamin. Like, I actually think this week, unusually for WWE, they've not really gone overboard in promoting that there is a mystery referee in the main event of a title match. This is the sort of stuff that they used to actually, you know, sell pay-per-views on. They're like genuinely interesting teasers.
It's a TV hook. It's not a pay-per-view.
Maybe not, but like Baron Corbin has no other chance of winning this match unless he picks a perfect referee. So I kind of wish they'd like steered more into it, because we could now be saying, oh, well, you know, we make lists at whatculture.com. There could be like 10 best picks or something like that. But they've really made it so that there isn't too many more options other than Brock. So if it's not in Vince McMahon's nature to disappoint with that kind of surprise if it's not Brock Lesnar, and they haven't really left any more doors open. So I am genuinely, you know, we could sound flippant, but I am intrigued.
Let us know your thoughts ahead of Stomping Grounds and what you think they need to do to save this show in the comment section below or on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. And join us for the live stream on Sunday, because we're all going through this together. My thanks to the Dadley Boyz, who you can follow on Twitter. You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
Sidgwick.
You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. You can follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. My thanks to the Dadley Boyz. Thank you for watching or listening, and we will see you soon.